I see a significant correlation between the way black male students in particular are handled in schools and the way inmates are handled in prison. To give you an example, and I won't get into a lot of detail because some things may still be unfolding in this particular case, but I was working with a family that lived near us. My wife and I were working with a family that lived near us, and there was this, included in the family, one of the children was a 6-year-old boy. He was in first grade, and he was small for his age. Bright young man, very athletic, but clearly a holy terror. I mean, we can't soft soap it. The kid was a holy terror. Had a lot of abandonment issues. His father was a gangbanger who was incarcerated. Had rarely been around while the child was younger. And when he was around, was not really focused on being there for his child. And so there was a lot of acting out. And again, like I said, the kid has been a holy terror. But the response of the school system, okay, again, this is a first grade kid, okay, and this is a bright kid. And in this particular case, his intelligence actually worked against him because there was no evaluation done, because he was on grade level academically. But the problem was that he was continually suspended. This is a child who had been suspended more times than he had years on this earth by the end of his first grade year. Now, they do the same thing in prison. Now, what they do with guys in prison is if a guy acts out, what he'll do is, now he's already locked up, but they'll put him in what they call the hole, solitary confinement. You know, he'll go before what they call court line. He'll be thrown into solitary confinement, and then after the designated period of solitary confinement, then he is put in administrative segregation. So he is isolated from the general population of the prison. He is isolated. He's in a 23-hour lockdown. Well, he's 24-hour lockdown, 23 hours of which are in the cell. Okay, he'll have maybe an hour a day for recreation. And so he's isolated away from the rest of the population. Well, this young man was isolated away from the rest of his class. Again, notwithstanding the issues that he presented, the challenges he presented to his teacher and to the principal, but there were no institutional policies for something like in-school suspension. It didn't exist. And so we go pick up the kid. He would be told, he would have taken a note home to his mother. He is not allowed back in school for X number of days. You can pick up his homework. What are you going to do? This is a first grade child. So now you're setting a pattern. Remember, the whole idea behind, for example, learning to read is that from first to third grade, you're learning to read. From fourth grade on, you're reading to learn. So now if you're not allowing the child to be in school, and if you're not making provision for him to remain in school, while at the same time, you know, chastising his behavior, appropriately chastising his behavior, what you're not doing is you're not educating that child. And thus you're putting him in the pipeline that leads to prison. And I have been, as a pastor, as a chaplain, in too many situations where I have ministered to father and son in prison.